I've gradually abandoned the art of setting New Year resolutions.
Basically, I believe in New Year resolutions,
okay.
Right? I do not take them. I don't think I take them like most people do. Someone has never touched, for instance, 100K in your life, and there's no practical way to steps to earn 100K. You'll now be wishing for 1 million by 15th of January. I'm shouting amen on 31st night. We have New Year wishes. We don't have New Year resolutions. I lost the relationship because I was broke.
Wow.
So the father said to the daughter that this guy, their family, they're broke.
Money no
So to tell you how bad, like, and what happened that day was I landed at the airport, and immediately at the airport I got a free office.
Are you
Yes, like I got a free office space in Wuse Zone 3 in the heart of Abuja.
As a guy, by the end of this year, I don't have 10 million in my account. Then I know I've failed. And I look at the person like, how much do you have in your account now? And the person tells you I have like 40K. I'm like,
you get to a point where money is no more a problem. You begin to set legacy goals.
Exactly.
Okay, what can I build for my community? What can I do for my family? Where can I stamp my name? So, but you have to look at your reality.
Even till now, we've not even reached on the money. We're not shop up. Let's not go there.
Hello guys, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Just Saying podcast. This is our first episode of the year 2025, and I promise you this is going to be an amazing time. One of the things we always grapple with at the beginning of the year is how do we set goals? How do we set resolutions? How do we properly plan our year so that it's effective, it's powerful, and we're able to bring to life the vision in our mind? So today we are speaking with someone who I consider a personal friend, someone who is a mentor in so many ways, someone who has really exemplified what it means to set goals and to crush it. It's always good to have such people in your circle, and I'm privileged today to have with me the one and only Jeff Anozie. It's very good to have you here, sir.
It's good to be here too. Thank you so much.
Jeff is he's the CEO of Braudy Global, one of the foremost real estate companies in Nigeria, with a very powerful presence in Enugu and right now in Abuja as well. It's a privilege to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for, taking some time to be with us.
Of course.
So I can't do justice introducing you. I can only say the much I know. So maybe you can just shed some light on, who you are.
Okay.
What you do. Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to be here. My name is Jeff Anozie. I am a real estate consultant as well as a trainer, right? I am the lead marketer for Braudy Global Limited, a leading real estate company in Nigeria with presence in the southeast Enugu and as well as in Abuja, like you rightly said. I'm also the head trainer at Realtor School. Realtor School is an academy for realtors. Okay. I could say one of the first online strictly online realtors academy that teaches you how to, build, how to, build a career around real estate, and as well as the author of the book, From Novice to Top Selling Realtor.
Powerful book, I must say.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so I'm also a husband and
husband to one wife.
To one
female wife. Very important.
And a father of two kids. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that's basic.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's jump straight into it. I want us to talk today about how to set effective goals and how to crush them.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that personally, just from watching you, what you've been able to accomplish in a very short time span is very inspiring, to say the least. And I'm one of those people who, over the years, have gradually abandoned the art of setting New Year resolutions. I've gradually, oftentimes because it just doesn't work. I don't know if it's personal, if it's about me, or if there's something fundamentally wrong with the concept of setting New Year resolutions and trying to set a time limit to start doing something new. So I don't know what your thoughts are on, we're entering into the year 2025 now, and a lot of people are pumped, with so many ideas, so many visions. So what do you think about the idea of New Year resolutions? Do they work? And if they work, how can we make them work? If they don't work, why don't they work?
Okay, so yes, I totally understand what you mean. When you do resolution almost every year, at the end of the day, you drop it. You drop it on the side and then start again.
By March, it's gone.
You know, so for me, basically, I believe in New Year resolutions,
Okay.
right? I do not take them. I don't think I take them like most people do.
Okay.
Most people have New Year wishes, not necessarily New Year resolutions.
True.
Time, in my opinion, is an illusion.
Okay.
However, the idea of the new year gives our brain the illusion of starting over, right? And you know, just like when God, you know, worked 6 days, rested 1 day. The idea of the new year is like a restart,
Yeah.
right? And you know, the brain, when we give the brain that illusion of starting over, it gives us the power or the will to say, okay, fine, mistake has been done, last year has gone, oh yeah, let's start again. The problem, however, is that most times, like I said earlier, we just wish. We have New Year wishes. We don't have New Year resolutions.
Yeah.
Because sometimes either the resolutions, as it were, are outrageous. Someone that's never touched, for instance, 100k in your life, and there's no practical way to steps to earn 100k. You now be wishing for 1 million by 15th of January and be shouting amen on 31st night. Do you get? So I feel like we deceive ourselves a lot. You know,
there's no practicality.
There's no practicality to it. You know, but when you set resolution, so the idea of the resolution is, okay, fine. I've been this. I want to be this, and I want to start on the first. Like I said, the illusion of starting over. So I want to start on the first to start working towards being this. Yeah. So what that means is that there has to be a walk. There has to be a step-by-step walk to achieving this. And I don't think it should be way beyond your sincerely considerable reach per time. Do you get? Because even in the Bible, when I'm sorry, I'm Christian, so I'll talk about the Bible a lot. So when the master was traveling, I was giving people talents according to their individual capacities,
abilities,
per time. So that capacity is what he gave them, and you see they did not disappoint. Right. So no matter how your resolution is, if you are not willing to first work on yourself to achieve it, give yourself practical step-by-step methods, as well as build your capacity to meet up to that resolution, as well as you know that you have to build yourself into it. I don't think it will ever work. So
basically you're saying that it's very possible for when a resolution doesn't match your capacity, becomes a wish, so to speak.
It's just a wish.
That's a really interesting thought, because I in my own experience, I realized that oftentimes when I set resolutions, like you said, I'm talking about who I want to be by certain times of the year.
Beautiful.
And oftentimes, if I'm not yet that person, and I've not yet built the disciplines that person requires, then those resolutions just keep falling by the wayside.
Exactly.
So how should we set new resolutions then? How should we approach setting them? Should we consider what we can do? Should we make realistic expectations? How do we approach it? Because oftentimes I find that most people go either of two ways. Either they say, okay, this is not working, I'm done. It happened to me at some point. I was like, I'm done. I don't set resolutions anymore. I'm just gonna leave it. However the year comes, it comes. You know, we pray and the Lord will help us. That's just it. Or do we say, do we build a strategy to make it effective? How do we set New Year resolution? How do you set New Year resolutions? I think that's a more personal. How do you set it?
Well, so usually I have one big resolution. So this is the big resolution.
Okay.
And then I have maybe 2 mini resolutions that complement that big one. And I feel like if we're able to if I'm able to get that one, most other things fall into place.
Exactly. I think this is so crucial, because I found that in my own experience, what helped me was also setting big goals. I have a big goal. Oftentimes in a year, I have maybe 3 major things I want to achieve. And those 3 major things, if I've achieved it, I end that year feeling good that I hit my mark. Even if, because I remember back in the days when when I used to set resolutions, I used to build a lot of goals. I used to have like 10 pages printed. Point 1, point 2, like 10 pages back and forth, what you do for your health, for your fitness, for your business, for your this, and just the volume is discouraging a lot. It's almost like people like me that don't eat well, they don't eat so much. If you give me big food in the plate, I lose appetite. I lose appetite because it's too much. But if you give me little by little, I'm able to eat more. So in the same way, if we build gradually on, set few realistic goals. That way, by the end of the year, if you hit those goals, you're able to, you feel good, and it gives you fuel for the next year as well to jump in.
I totally agree.
That's I think I would say you are the professor that approved my thesis, because this is something I've worked with for years, but I've not preached it as being this is how to approve you as a template. So hearing you also share the same thoughts is really encouraging. It's really encouraging. Okay, so still talking about resolutions are one thing. So now when we talk about goals, specific goals, how do we set? Because I've heard so many people speak about goal setting, and there are so many schools of thought on the best way to approach setting goals. In your own opinion, I've watched you set goals that when you tell me about it, I'm like, are you crazy? Like, what are you talking about? Like, how is this even possible? I know when you started with Braudy, and it was like play, and suddenly I'm seeing how do you first of all get yourself to believe that those goals are possible in the first place? Because oftentimes setting, how do you know a goal is realistic? I think that's the question I'm trying to. How do you know a goal is realistic and bring yourself to believe that this is a goal worth setting for you to pursue and to achieve?
Okay, so for me, first, I again, like I said, I think the first thing for me, I like to look at why. Why do I need to get this goal? I start with that, and then I look at it and I'm like, okay, if this is worth, of course, I like to tie my why to an emotional need, usually family, usually my kids' future, or people around me. I like to think of myself like I live for people. I live for the people around me. I am not created just for myself. So if I look at the goal and I see the why, so I first attach a very solid why. My initial goals were food to eat, to chop
survival.
first.
Survival first.
when hunger sits you down on a Saturday morning and warn you. So gradually, the beauty about goals is when you hit little goals, you believe more, right? When you set little and hit them, you believe more. So for me, the first thing I try to do is to understand the why. Why am I even doing this? Then number two, I look for people in that direction or that have achieved that thing.
It's a company.
So I just look at them. So I call it expert modeling. So I just look at experts within my field. For instance, when I wanted to start real estate in total, I looked for 10 people that were doing it the way I like it, or the way I admire to do it. And I simply just literally read their lives daily. So I go to their pages. Thank God for the internet now. Just go to their pages, look at what they're doing. If they have courses or events, I pay for it and go there. Just to be in that room, to feel that you have one head, two legs,
to make sure there's nothing else about
you. So and I believe those things build my belief. Do you get? It builds my belief. So I first just understand the why. Why do I need to do this? Then number two, I look for people in that niche that have achieved that thing. It doesn't matter if they're around me or not, so long as they have achieved it. And usually the best kind of people that I look out for, people that have digital footprints. Traceable. You could see, and I try to just go back and watch. I literally binge watch their stuff, and over time. And watching that thing does something. It builds my belief, And then once my belief is built, then next thing is I begin to set practical steps to achieve these things. And what people don't understand most times, which I learned a few years ago, is the process and who you're becoming is as important as the goal itself. So whilst trying to hit the goal, you become someone. You start. And that is where a lot of people give up, because they live in this illusion. So you have to become that person that
is worthy of achieving that goal.
Of course. And what does becoming mean? It means building yourself, understanding knowledge, of course, learning, discipline. Ensure that, of course, you give up a lot of things, a lot of environment, a lot of contacts, just to be that person. And at the end of the day, usually you may not hit it per se, but you've become someone that is not what you used to be.
Wow.
And that automatically changes your life. That's why usually they say the first million is the hardest to make. And after that, the rest are easier. Why? Because you have become the person that can attract.
That can attract millions.
Exactly.
That's a revolutionary thought, because many times we are focused so much on attaining our goals, and oftentimes when you fail to, speaking from experience, I remember taking stock of my 2024, and just looking at certain goals that I didn't hit, and I was like, hi, this thing I was supposed to have done this thing this year, why didn't I do it? But I had to sit back and ask myself, but what did I learn along the way? What did I learn along the way? And just thinking on that, I realized I had become a better version of myself in 2024 than I was in 2023. So the journey is just as important as the destination. That's crucial. So for many of us who are trying to set massive goals for 2025, and you're trying to achieve so much, I think what you become along the journey is just as important as attaining that goal. So even if you don't attain that goal, the question is, did you get better? Did you become a better person? Did you become a stronger person? Did you become more persistent in pursuit? So I think that's something we can think about as we go into the year. So that's thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. Okay, one of the things that I have found, because it's one thing to set a goal. Now I've set this goal. Now I know what it is I want to achieve. But many people like me, I struggle a lot with self-motivation. With getting myself to stand up and actually go and do that thing. If I show you my ideas listed, oh my God, there are books. I've written books of ideas, but oftentimes, how do I get myself up to start? How do I motivate myself? You've already shared a little when you talk about modeling, expert modeling, looking at other people and knowing that these people are human beings just like you. So if they can do it, I can do it. Are there any other measures you take to motivate yourself? Because I've really seen you pursue ridiculous goals. How do you get yourself to believe in yourself now as a person, that you can motivate yourself to actually even to start going? Because I think starting is the most difficult.
That's the most difficult.
It's the most difficult. How do you start, to pursue something? How do you decide, okay, I'm going to pay for an office space and start a company? It's crazy. It's a huge deal, because what if it doesn't work? What if there's so many thoughts that come into your mind that often kill motivation? So how do you get yourself to that place of self-motivation and belief, to pursue these goals after you've set them?
So the first thing for me was in 2015 when I was watching, 2013 to 2016 were like very critical years of my life. When Sapa and his brother and their siblings, they know you're like parties.
You have a relationship.
So that period was a very critical period of my life, and in fact, I lost a relationship because I was broke.
Wow.
So the father said to the daughter that this guy, their family, they are broke.
Money no.
So to tell you how bad, right? So around that period, I did a lot of learning and introspecting. And one of the guys I came across then that I watched very well was Russell Brunson. And then he said something around the pain of regret and the pain of work and the pain of regret. Right, and so I do that a lot. I mean, I also encounter that lack of self-motivation. I do. Some people think I don't, but I do. I mean, people around me at my workplace and stuff, they think that, this guy, do you always wake up
and just have it? And you're just pushing.
That's so not true. There are days when you wake up and you be like, I beg, you know?
Yeah.
So, but at such times, I then try to remember that stuff, the pain of regret and the pain of work, right? And I try to ask myself very, very sincere questions, even though sometimes it doesn't really work, like it doesn't push me immediately. But the more I think about it and the more I ask myself, I would like to move. And so I try to weigh it. What will my life be like if I don't achieve this? Versus what will my life be like if I achieve this? Do you get? So I actually weigh it. Like I write it out a couple of times, yes, and I write it out and I'll be like, okay, I will not have this, I will not have this. If my kid needs this, I can't be able to give him. Do you get? So I write it out and then I write out the pain of doing that work. So what do I need to do to achieve this? And you know, interesting thing is that, you know how God says in the Bible, in the economy, present your life and death.
Choose this.
Choose. So you choose. So in my mind, I'll not be looking at it too. I'll be like, okay, choose this death too. And this one is life. You know, there's something we practice in my office most times, a meditation strategy where we paint the rich life in our mind and the things we can accomplish with it, and we also paint all the reasons why you will not achieve this rich life, and then we try to choose. You know, so I feel like if you inculcate that in your practice like daily, I feel that could bring a level of motivation. You know, it won't completely push you, but at least it starts priming your mind. It's the consciousness. So just bring it to your consciousness as often as possible. All right, so that's the first part. Just simply thinking about the pain of not achieving these things, like the pain. Many years from now, you look back and be like, what if I just try? And you know, I have a mantra. If you ask my wife, what makes this guy do what he's doing, she will tell you one thing. I say it all the time. So it's either it works or it does not work. There are so many things that I've jumped into that did not work. I feel, of course, I hit the ground, broke my brain, you know, and pick up myself and start again. You know, dust your ball. And I like to say something like, whether you do it or you don't, you're still where you are anyways.
You might as well try it.
You might as well. Just give it a shot. You know, and yes, I don't always know if things will work. I don't always know. Like recently, August, it was in July. I was in Lagos in the train and I said, we're going to open an office in Abuja.
I was stunned. I was stunned when I was like, what do you mean? How?
By first week of August, I flew from Lagos to Abuja. That was it too. See now where God now and the universe and, you know, the world. You know how I used to think sometimes that Angel Gabriel is just sitting behind God. You know, I think a lot. Like I imagine things a lot. And Angel Gabriel is trying to tell you, and God has given you that prayer point. And Angel Gabriel is trying to tell you, move. But you can't see him and you can't hear him. And then finally you make the move and you'll be like, yes. You know? We've been waiting. I've been waiting. And what happened that day was I landed at the airport, and immediately at the airport I got a free office.
Are you
Yes, like I got a free office space in Wuse Zone 3 in the heart of Abuja. I ran into my friend's elder brother at the airport, and he just told me that, what are you doing in Abuja? And I showed him my box. So I came to open an office, and he's like, I have an office for you. Come on Monday. And that's it too. So, and literally most times, that is how things just align. But you have to just make that first move. And for me, it's either it works or it does not work. But you're going to live with a deeper pain in your heart if you don't make the move to know if it will work or not. So that's, for me, that's just it. You're just weighing the pain of regret versus the pain of delayed gratification, the pain of depriving yourself, the pain of, you know, putting in the work, reading, praying, meditating. You get to just weigh the two pains and know which one you want to get for yourself.
And both are indeed painful. So both are indeed painful, but the pain of regret is far worse.
It's far worse.
Because this has gotten me thinking, because oftentimes, for me, one of the things that motivate me is I always tell myself time is going.
Yes.
Like, I'm often shocked at how fast time. I can't believe we've ended 2024. It just started.
It just
and oftentimes I tell myself, lucky for me, I was born in 1990, so I don't need to check how old I am. It's always, if we're in 2025, I know I'm 35. If we're in it's clear, so I know how old I am every time. So once we enter 25, I'm like 35. So 36. So I'm asking myself constantly, bro, how old are you? Time is going. 40 is here. Time is going. And I often tell myself, bro, how would I feel if I'm 60 years? I always picture this in my head. If I'm 60 years and I'm talking to my dad and I say, Kai, when I was young, I used to want to shoot films.
I wanted to.
Does that picture, whenever I replay that picture in my head, it gets me off my butt. I say, God forbid that I'll be that person that'll tell my children, this thing you're doing, when we are young, we used to do, this was something I really wanted to do.
Exactly.
And then, because oftentimes, one of the things that steal that clear vision is the struggle for survival.
True.
We are trying to survive. I've had to ask myself many times, should I take certain sacrifices now that will hurt me now, but will create that picture of the life that I want in the future?
That's it.
Or do I abandon that vision and survive? Because many people will tell you, bro, we got to chop first. Maybe we chop first.
Yeah.
And so we abandon pursuing that vision, pursuing that goal, and we try to survive. And before you know it, you're surviving for 10 years. And
I'm
10 years
telling you,
because needs don't stop. So you say, okay, let me just, it's because of this rent, you pay the rent, your children, you have to pay their school fees. Then there's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years have gone, and then you're now looking back and saying, Kai. So it's really a crucial question we have to ask ourselves. Do I take the pain and the sacrifice now?
No.
Just to make sure I get the future that I want? Or do I survive now
and live in
regret too much? So that's a very powerful tonic for us to really think about. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. So